The GOP has definitely rigged the nomination process, but not against Donald Trump. Case in point, I got several examples here. The chair on Monday ignored a successfully filed petition for Rules Committee roll call vote. Leon Wolf at Red State wrote about this. Reince Priebus's attempts to avoid a roll call vote on a rules package appear to have failed against all expectations. This package is not just an anti-Trump package, but also includes a number of reforms that conservatives, remember us, including some pro-Trump delegates who have been supportive of it. As reported earlier, the secretary was literally physically hiding from delegates who were attempting to file petitions to force a roll call vote. Other witnesses allege that delegates who attempted to force the issue were prevented from approaching by armed guards. What country are we living in? I mean, what party? Well, I'm no longer in it. But what party is this? Sounds like something the Democrats would do, doesn't it? North Dakota delegate Barry Emineth says signatures to force roll call have been filed with the chair. Zeke Miller tweeted out. Allegedly, in spite of tremendous pressure from Priebus and the RNC applied to petition signatories, the petitions have at last been filed and accepted. Or so they thought. I don't think by the end of the day that this effort will be successful. In fact, I would be surprised if it even got 500 votes. But the fact of its existence is an embarrassment to the Trump campaign, who was responding with their typical finesse and panache in an attempt to generate party unity. Trump RNC aides currently trying to strip signatures and petition for roll call vote. Here's a direct quote. Our goal is to destroy them. Close quote. This is what you have become, Trumplicans. You have become that. You have become thugs. You have become authoritarians. You have become brown shirts. And I know you're proud of it. Open discord and revolt broke out on the floor of the Republican National Convention Monday as GOP officials crushed an attempt. I mean, remember when delegates ran the convention? Right now, the entire situation is in borderline chaos. Right now, at this exact moment, Enid Mickelson, chair of the Rules Committee, just presented the Rules Committee report and moved for the acceptance of the report. No roll call vote was taken. The chair declared the motion to accept the Rules Committee report passed. Massive booing about the chair's determination that the Rules Committee report passed. The Platform Committee chair attempted to take the stage, but massive chanting has broken out. It appears that some delegates may have been thrown out of the convention. A motion was attempted to be made from the floor. Right now, the podium is empty as the chaos gets sorted out. First, several updates here. After several minutes of chaos, Deputy Chair Steve Womack returned to the microphone and asked for a repeat of the voice vote on the Rules Committee report. He again states his opinion that the ayes have it. Chants of roll call, roll call, roll call. Womack then recognized the delegation from Utah who requested a roll call vote. Womack stated that initially 9 states had filed petitions, but 3 withdrew, leaving the motion under the 7 states required for a roll call vote. Therefore, he says a roll call vote cannot happen. The convention has moved on to the Platform Committee consideration. It appears the rules challenge to the roll call vote is dead. No, not really, as we'll get to in a moment. It's not clear at this point which 3 states allegedly, that's the key word, withdrew their petitions for a roll call vote or why. Additionally, the initial reports were that 11 states had filed petitions, not 9. Who knows what pressure was applied by Priebus and or the Trump campaign to kill the roll call vote, but it appears for now that to be well and truly dead, except it wasn't well and truly dead. Reports of its death were wildly exaggerated, so they just pretended that it didn't happen. Here's the next item in this category. RNC refuses to release list of delegates and states who allegedly withdrew roll call petition. Well, isn't that interesting? Sarah Gonzalez reports from redstate.com. According to numerous reports throughout the day on Monday, conservatives had petitions signed by enough states to force a roll call vote on rule changes that conservatives wanted. Not all the changes pertained to Trump at all. In fact, they were mostly just to try to prevent the establishment from taking total control of the process. The establishment that is now in full alliance with Donald Trump. That's right, Trumplicans, you have become the establishment. In fact, many Trump delegates were in favor of them. However, the RNC apparently twisted some arms of delegates and flat out invalidated the signatures of others to prevent a roll call vote on the package. This is a level of corruption that is just Trump. This led to the obvious question: who were the states whose petitions were withdrawn and or whose signatures were invalidated? At the very least, Republican voters and the media should be entitled to that information so that they can ask what pressure was applied and or what was promised. Shouldn't delegates whose signatures were allegedly invalidated be able to know so they can challenge that determination? Apparently not. RNC official tells Zeke Miller they will not be releasing a list of withdrawn signatures delegations invalidated. Transparency. It's today's GOP, and today's GOP, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat Party. Well, this created enough of a stir and enough concern that it led to a meeting including lawyers. Let's see here. Regarding, and constitutional law experts regarding the roll call petition controversy. This is Bob Bennett at Red State. There is a report that there is a meeting going on, including constitutional lawyers, about the convention chair ignoring a petition with more than the required number for a roll call vote. 11 states have signed to get a roll call vote: Minnesota, Iowa, Washington, Colorado, the District of Columbia, North Dakota, Alaska, Virginia, Utah, Maine, and Wyoming. Only 7 were needed under the rules, yet the chair ignored that and passed the rules changes that included language concerning binding the delegates. Here's one tweet. Personally witnessed 10 states for roll call vote. There was 1 additional. Chairman ignored all points of order, said 9 and 3 invalid. In other words, it's a blatant lie. They just said, we don't care what the rules say. We don't care how many petitions you have. Screw you. During the early session, this is why I would not have been a delegate to the Trumpvention, because this is what was going to happen. Total and complete disenfranchisement. You expect to get a unified Republican Party out of this? And you demand you get on the Trump train. Screw you! This is exactly what's wrong with you people. That's exactly what's wrong with your candidate. This is what your candidate has done to the Republican Party. During the early session, after the chair had ignored the petition, Mike Lee was seen on camera in the midst of a loud protest from the delegates. Mike Lee said, delegates from 11 states submitted a petition for a roll call vote. Those calling for unity need to remember they'll need these people as the engine for their nominee. Lots of luck with that. The chair is vacant. People are asking Mike Lee to take the chair. He says he has no right. There's no precedent for this. We're in uncharted territory. I've never seen the chair abandoned. Cowards. The chair returned, held yet another voice vote, again completely ignoring the petition for a roll call vote. Again, he called the ayes have it, even though they clearly did not. It was reported that the Iowa, Wyoming, and Colorado delegations walked out in protest. Unity? Unity? In case you're wondering how the RNC denied the roll call petition, an Alaska delegate provided that answer. This goes back to Leon Wolf at Red State yesterday. Conservatives attempted to force a roll call vote on a series of rule changes that were designed to keep the RNC from maintaining an iron fist over the nomination process. They successfully got majorities of 7 state delegations that were required, plus 2 extra for good measure, or actually 4 extra. The convention chair claimed that 3 states had withdrawn their petitions, thus leaving the petition without the required number of signatories, so there would not be a roll call vote. And then, like we've already discussed, refused to disclose which delegations had withdrawn their petitions, which tells me they didn't withdraw anything. They just made stuff up. MSU'd. Of course, the RNC is not saying who the 3 states were or how their petitions came to be withdrawn. So conservatives do not know whether this even actually happened, much less the circumstances under which it happened. For all we know, Priebus and his crew made it up, straight out of Trump Tower. But the scuttlebutt is that the petitions from Alaska, Minnesota, and Iowa were either withdrawn or somehow disallowed in violation of the rules, because the rules don't apply to Democrats. Today, we intend to talk to as many delegates as we can who were involved in the process to get to the bottom of it. Fred Brown, an Alaska delegate who is part of the Rules Committee, has released this statement illustrating how the convention chair completely and willfully ignored Alaska's petition during the chaos. Quote, "It has been reported that Alaska did not turn in its required signatures to contribute toward the Rules Committee roll call vote. As a Rules Committee member, I had secured more than enough signatures from Alaska delegates, but the convention secretary was not at the designated location when I was told to submit them." See, Jesus. You see what's going on here? Some said she was hiding. Others said she was protected by armed guards. Armed guards! And if somebody had tried to get to her anyway, would they have opened fire? That would have been interesting on the news, wouldn't it? Regardless, I was told I could also present the signatures from the floor. Nevertheless, when the vote occurred, my mic was not turned on. When I attempted to present these signatures at the stage, my effort was ignored by the chair, and the security guard turned me away. The effort was made even more difficult by Alaska's late arriving bus and slow security lines at the entrance. Is this starting to sound like they had all this planned and ready to go? That they knew that they didn't have the support of the party. They knew they didn't have the support of the rank and file. They knew they didn't have the support of the delegates. So they just rigged the whole process. Overall, this was not a good demonstration of delegate accommodation, nor a full, open, honest debate of the rules, as was promised during the Rules Committee orientation. Fred Brown, Rules Committee, member, Alaska. And yet none of it is unexpected. Nobody should have expected anything else. This is liberalism personified, and the GOP, thanks to Donald Trump, is now a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat Party. And one thing we know for sure, this is going to get a whole lot uglier before we get to the bottom of it. I'm telling you again, Trumplicans, you demand unity from us? Physicians, heal thyself.